Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday, and on the last video we were talking about lessons from nature, and this week we are going to continue that and we're going to talk about the moon. Okay, so the moon goes through different phases and different cycles. When you think about like a full moon, that's like a time for reflection or a time for release. When you think about new moons, that's a time for planting intentions. But when you think about your energy, it works the same way. There's a time to start something and there's a time to let go of something. And in these seasons, it teaches us how to be patient. See, sometimes winter may come and come slowly and it may be so cold and brutal, but it's preparing us for the springtime, just like nature. There are periods of life that are essential. So in the wintertime, if you're going through a season of winter in your world, it may be a time where it's essential for you to rest so that you can feel renewed and that you whatever you're planting, or it could be a time where you're planting and you're harvesting different things, or you're building something because you are resting and you're building your strength. So you got to understand what season that you are in, but change isn't something to fear. It's just how we evolve. Sometimes when you pay attention to nature, it reminds us that growth isn't linear, that the cycles are sacred, and that every ending is the start of something new. So that's an opportunity for you to embrace whatever cycle or whatever season that you're going through in life, and understanding that if season one is the season where you have to, like, for example, you're planting a seed. You have to nurture the ground first. You have to maintenance the ground. You got to remove all of the weeds. You got to make sure that the ground is good for when you fertilize it. And like, I don't know all the steps, but just think about it from that. I know we're talking about the moon, but we're gonna talk about plants for a second. And you're mining the ground, and then you're getting ready to phase two, plant the seeds. You might want to water the ground and make sure that it has the moisture, so that when you do plant the seeds, that you're not planting it on a hard rock soil. And then now that you've planted the seeds, now you got to make sure that you're continuing to give it the nutrients that it needs. You got to continue to water it. You can give it plant food. You got to make sure it's getting sunlight. You got to nurture it. Then once it starts to grow, you got to continue to nurture it. But as it's growing, you're going to start to see the growth go down first, because it has to build its roots, and then it's going to go up. And then once it starts to grow and it starts to expand, you'll be able to see whatever. Planted tomato, you're going to get tomatoes. You planted peppers, you're going to get peppers. And you start to see the fruits from your labor. So you may be at a stage where you're like, why haven't I seen the fruits of my labor? Because you ain't nurtured it. You ain't mined the dirt. You just threw your seeds on concrete and you thought that it was going to grow. So when you look at things like that in nature, it's a true and real reflection of our lives. And it's important for you to ask yourself, am I even following the flow of nature in my life?